Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 15 tips or things that you can do to ensure that when you embark on your next cruise, it goes as smoothly and as simple as possible with no aggravation and no frustrations. Stay tuned. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am the Busman, and this is another episode of On the Road, where I bring you all of my tips, travel, guidance, and advice on all things related to motorcycles, motovlogging, cruise vacations, and destination vacations. Before we begin, I'd like once again to thank you for taking a little time out of your day, joining me, and watching my content. So, without further ado, pitter patter, let's get at her. Today we're going to be talking about 15 things that you can do to prepare for your embarkation process on your next cruise that will make things smooth, simple, and hassle-free. So, what are these 15 things that we're going to be talking about? So these 15 tips generally will apply universally to all cruise lines. A lot of these things that I'm going to be talking about today are basic common sense. However, if you're a new cruiser, you will certainly benefit from learning from the errors of my ways in the past, and you may not know exactly what to prepare for. So one of the first things that you should do once you determine which line you're going to book with, you've made your reservation, you've put your deposit down, is the first step in the planning process given today's realities with the COVID-19, and you need to be aware of the COVID-19 protocols and testing requirements for the particular line that you're cruising with. Additionally, the country that you're going to be cruising with. So with regard to booking your test, it's important to know what kind of test you're going to need. So you need to differentiate between a PCR test or an antigen rapid test. I would also advise you, it might be a good idea to go online and book your COVID-19 test, if one is required, the day prior to your embarkation. Right now, if you do your test the day before you sail, you will be well within the vast majority of the time frames required by your cruise lines. Again, another thing I would do about a week before you embark, go back to your website or talk to your travel agent and make sure that you have a thorough understanding of what the requirements are at that time. Right now, COVID-19 testing requirements and protocols are changing almost on a daily basis. So it's incumbent on you as the traveler to make sure that you're compliant with not only the cruise line's COVID protocols, but also the country that you're in. The second thing is prior to arriving, or if you're flying out of the country or you're going to another country, make sure that you bring enough cash with you. You never know, on an excursion, for example, some places don't take credit cards, they only accept cash. Generally speaking, you're safe with US dollars, but make sure you have enough cash with you. Another tip, it's always best to use currency exchanges when exchanging cash regardless of what country currency you're using. So as an example, I use an online currency exchange to exchange Canadian dollars for US dollars. Currency exchanges always offer the best exchange rates. They will beat any bank rate. It's a good way to save some money. Another thing is I'm not aware of any currency exchanges that do not do things online. So an online transaction, simply you set up an account, there's some verification stuff, it takes about 10 minutes or so. I electronically give them authorization, they withdraw money, Canadian currency from the account that I designate, and then the same day money is the currency that I'm exchanging. For example, US dollars gets deposited into my US dollar account, and it's all done with a few clicks of the mouse and a phone call. Then prior to my going on my cruise, I go down to my branch, I withdraw US dollars from my US dollar account, and there's no bank fees, there's no exchange fees. It's the simplest and cheapest way to get cash in today's day and age for those of us who do use cash. Another tip is when you're getting cash from your bank, make sure you get lots of 1s and 5s and some 10s and 20s, depending on how much you like to tip. Whether you're on excursions, it's always good to have an assortment of different denomination bills. People may not always be able to make change for you. And yes, you can go to the casino. If you don't have cash, you can go to the casino and charge money to your account. However, typically lines vary, but I know on the line that I sail with, Celebrity Cruises, they charge a 5% commission. So if I want to get $100 charged to my account, it's really going to cost me $105. So you can avoid those fees just by following tip number 2. Tip number 3, so if you're flying into your cruise port destination, so again, for myself, if I'm flying to a cruise port destination within North America, again, I live in British Columbia, Canada, I always fly in the day prior. This gives me enough time to settle in. I can get a good night's sleep at my hotel. I can arrange for a shuttle to take me to the cruise port. I'm rested, I'm organized, I'm ready to go. It also avoids the calamity of missed flights, late flights. Who knows what could happen. Never, ever, ever fly in on the day of your cruise. Big mistake. Now, if I'm flying internationally, I would strongly recommend to everybody, depending on where you're going, look at sometimes it can take as much as 24 hours for you to arrive at your origin of where you're going, where your cruise is going to be leaving from. If I'm flying internationally, typically it would be a minimum of 2 days. I know a lot of people who do cruise internationally. They'll, from example, Canada to Europe, they'll go a full week earlier and then spend a week doing touristy type stuff in Europe and enjoying the sights. And then at the end of the 3, 4, 5 days, whatever the case may be, then they board the cruise ship. This is advantageous for several reasons. One, they've adjusted to jet lag and the time changes. They've also got plenty of time to make sure that they know where the cruise port is. They've arranged for suitable transportation, and it just mitigates and eliminates any potential disasters that could happen which would interfere with boarding their cruise ship. Tip number 4 is all cruise lines do have some form or manner where you can do an online check-in using their app. Check with your cruise line, check to see if they have an app, download it, installed on your phone. I always do my check-in. Now typically it would be around within 30 days. I know the cruise line that I sail with is within 30 days you can do your online check-in. So always do your online check-in. You can upload documents, you can upload your COVID information, your test results, your photograph, security photograph. You can answer all of the health questionnaires. All that stuff is done. You do not want to get hung up at the cruise port answering all these questions and doing your check-in at the cruise port. That just leads to aggravation, frustration, and delays. Do it online. You can do it on your own time. If you only have it partially done, you can just exit out of the app. It'll save it. You can just pick up from where you left off the last time. Easy peasy. Online check-in, it's the way to go. Another tip with the online check-in process is make sure that you register a valid credit card. That way when you're on board, you don't have to go down to guest services and then give them your credit card and register. On embarkation day, the last place you want to be is in the massive lineup for guest services. No, you don't want to do that. Register your credit card online through the app. That way, your CPass card will immediately allow you to charge anything that you need to charge at any of the gift shops or stores, or what have you. If you're going to the martini bar or any place where you have to actually pay for your drinks. If you don't have a drink package, well then you skip that hassle. Another reason why this is important is you won't be able to room charge anything. You're required to register a credit card for your room, so save yourself the hassle. Tip number 5, always have a day bag or some type of carry-on bag. I always, in a previous video, I talked about the top 10 things that I bring with me when I travel. One of them is my day bag. So what I do is on embarkation day, I will put on my swim trunks, put on my deck shoes, put on my sun shirt, my anything I'm going to need, because typically what I like to do once I'm checked in and on board, I will go to the Lido deck and start enjoying my cruise right from the get-go. So one thing you need to keep in mind is once you're on board, your checked luggage will not arrive for a significant period of time. It could be even after dinner. Cruise lines, again, are increasing capacity. Some are upwards of 80, 90. Some cruise ships are at 100% capacity right now. So with the volume of passengers on board, don't expect your luggage to arrive. Delta. Don't expect luggage to arrive. See what I did there? Anyway, a comedian I'm not. At any rate, don't expect your luggage to arrive at the same time as you arrive to your stateroom. Which is why I always recommend you have your day bag with you, and in your day bag, have what you're going to need, especially things like medications, your wallet, your credit cards, your passport, your cash, sunscreen, anything that you cannot do without. You might want to have a spare change of clothes in the event that your luggage gets lost, your cell phone, the list goes on and on. My day bag will hold all of those items, no problem. I arrive to the cruise ship wearing the clothes that I'm going to need for the rest of the day. That's the way to do it, and it will save you a lot of aggravation and frustration. Tip number 6, in the event that you're driving to the cruise port, perhaps you've rented a car, or maybe you live in the same town or state or province, depending on where you live, you're going to be driving to the cruise port. If you're driving to the cruise port, pre-book or pre-reserve or prepay for a parking stall. Nothing sucks more than when you arrive at your destination and then you see the parking lot full sign. Now again, most cruise ships are debarking and embarking on the same day. The parking lots are a big enough gong show at cruise ports, never mind airports or anywhere else for that matter. However, it does make things easy and more cost effective if you pre-book or pre-arrange your reserved parking spot. If for some reason, again, cruise ships are increasing capacity, so parking may be limited depending on where you are. If you're pre-booked and pre-reserved, well, then you can go right through into the pre-booked, pre-reserved lineup, if there is one, and you know for sure you're going to be able to park, and you can avoid that parking hassle altogether. Tip number 7, make sure that you have your luggage tags. You can download them off of most lines' websites, print them, fold them, have them ready to go, and put them inside of some type of luggage tag holder, and make sure your luggage tags are securely affixed to your bags. Another tip, if for whatever reason, I hear and see lots of stories, especially on Facebook, about people not being able to obtain luggage tags through their cruise line, whether that be in the mail or there's some type of a glitch on the website and they can't print. Don't worry about it. Show up at the cruise port. When you meet the porter, show him your boarding pass. He will take care of everything for you. They have some generic blank luggage tags that they can affix to your bags. However, it does go much smoother and much easier if the bags you want to check already have luggage tags affixed. Lastly, when you're printing your luggage tags and affixing them to your luggage, especially if you have more than one cruise booked, I've read some horror stories online where people printed their luggage tags for the wrong cruise and affixed them to their bag, and they didn't notice it. Tip number 8. So as I talked about a couple of times on some of the other points, the cruise lines are increasing capacity. The cruise ports are going to be getting busier and busier, more congested. So make sure that when you do your online check-in, One of the things you'll have the ability to do is select your time that you want to check in. Now, the advantage of, again, doing it online is the earlier you do it, the better the time you'll have. Show up at your appropriate time to check in. Tip number 9, always make sure that you print your boarding pass and any other documentation that the cruise line, your particular cruise line, may need as part of the embarkation process. Make sure you want to have in your hand, ready to go, your boarding pass, your passport, visas should be affixed into your passport if wherever you're cruising, visas are required, COVID tests, anything you're going to need. Have it printed in your hand, folded into your passport, and then when I show up, I just hand them my passport. Everything they're going to need is right in there, and literally they just go check, 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 everything's ready to go. They hand me back my stuff, they verify my photo, and I go through the initial stage. Another tip is don't put them away once you get through. You're going to have to show your passport and your documentation 2 or possibly 3 more times, so hold it in your hand. And then just walk through. Now, a lot of people have these documents on their cell phone or their iPad. That's fine. Typically, that usually works. However, always make sure you have printed copies, because if for some reason you have some technical glitch of some kind, Murphy's Law, and you're unable to open your phone, or the battery's dead, or something got deleted, who knows? Well, at least then you'll have the paper copies in your hand, and you're not going to go through a nightmare trying to get stuff organized when you got 200 or 300 people behind you. Be organized, be ready. Having it in printed form works just as well as electronic devices when the electronic devices are working. Tip number 11. As soon as you get on board and you're actually gone through the security process and the screening process, and you're going up the gangway and you're boarding on the boat, put your phone in airplane mode. This is critical. There's all kinds of stories on the internet of people getting hit with humongous cell phone bills, thousands of dollars, because they forgot to put their cell phone in airplane mode, and then what happens is your phone connects to the cruise ship's cellular network, and you're going to be paying astronomical cellular fees for both data and if you happen to be making any phone calls on your phone. Airplane mode, do it every time. Don't get hit with a surprise. Another good tip for a lot of people don't know this, but if your particular cellular carrier has Wi-Fi calling, what I always do when I get on board is I put my phone in airplane mode. I make sure that my Wi-Fi calling feature, and now I use an iPhone. I don't know anything about Samsungs or Androids or any of these other phones. I'm an iPhone guy. At any rate, I pull out my iPhone, airplane mode, make sure my Wi-Fi calling is enabled, and bingo, bango, bongo, I can make phone calls for free worldwide. On my last cruise in September on the Celebrity Edge, I was making phone calls back home from the middle of the Caribbean Ocean, and you're using the ship's satellite cellular network, and because I'm connected through Wi-Fi, it's free. All the phone calls you want, gratis. So there's a good tip for you, in case you didn't know that. Tip number 12. So as soon as I get on board and I've put my phone in airplane mode, the first thing I do is I head immediately to my stateroom. Now when you get to your stateroom with the line Celebrity, that's the line that I'm with. Some lines, when you check in, they'll give you your SeaPass card right away. With Celebrity, you go to your room, and in your mail slot by your door, cabin door, there'll be an envelope there, and inside the envelope is there's a little greeting card that has my SeaPass card in it. So the first thing I do is make sure I have my SeaPass card. That's the most critical thing. Make sure my SeaPass card works. Tap it on the door opens. I'm in my cabin. Another good tip for you is do not write your room number on your SeaPass card. I've read lots of stories of people who have a tendency to have trouble remembering their stateroom number, so they'll take a marker or a felt pen and they'll write their number on their card so they can remember. that is a horrifically bad idea, because if you lose your CPAS card or you leave it in a slot machine, which a lot of people do, the next person who comes along or finds it, they can enter your room and they basically can do a total free-for-all. So the next thing that I will typically do is the muster drill. So again, once you're on board, you'll have the ability, if you're in your room, you can either do it on your cell phone or you can do it on your TV screen with most lines. There's usually 1 or 2 videos, depending on the line, where you can watch the required material for doing your muster drill. And subsequent to that, you can then exit your room, go to your assigned muster station, where they will register that you've completed your muster drill videos. They will swipe or scan your medallion or CPAS card or whatever it is that your line uses. They'll have about a 15 to 30 second conversation with you, and then you're free to go. Your muster drill's done. You don't need to worry about it for the rest of the cruise. Tip number 14. You absolutely need to do a room inspection. You want to make sure that your bedding and everything is the way it should be. You want to make sure that you don't have any broken cabinet doors, that your fridge is working, that the sink and you got hot and cold running water in your bathroom. Check the shower, make sure the toilet's flushing and it's not backed up. Make sure all of your lights work, air conditioning, fans. Just do a general inspection of your room and note any deficiencies. If you do encounter any deficiencies or issues, like the toilet's plugged or the sink doesn't work or you don't have any toiletries, whatever the issue is, get a hold of your room steward. And if you have a butler, then let your butler know. For example, in Celebrity, if you have a concierge, you can let your concierge know. You need to get somebody on it right away. Always be courteous, be polite. You catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar, right? Just let them know that what your concerns are, and they will address it straight away before you get your bags and before you unpack. Nothing's worse than unpacking and get everything set up the way you like it, only to have to repack and then change rooms because you just discovered the shower doesn't work. And the last but not least, tip number 15. I always secure, before I leave the room, any valuables in my safe, so like my passport, cash, wallet, watches, jewelry, my iPad. Usually the safes on cruise ships are big enough to hold an iPad. Make sure you always lock things up. I've been told through different people and Facebooking and what have you that some people don't like to use the safe because they can't remember the combination. Well, again, you can text yourself the combination that you're using. You can note it down on your phone. You can, but regardless, it doesn't really matter, because even if you do forget, the room steward or a manager, they have the ability to open those safes. Any hotel in the world can get into a safe. The cruise lines are no different. So always secure your stuff, because if somehow anybody should get access to your room and steal anything out of your room, the cruise line is not responsible. They're not really responsible anyway, but it'll certainly make your life easier if the items that were in your room were locked in the safe. So once you've completed all of these 15 items, you're now good to exit your room and go enjoy your cruise and do all the things that you like to do. So hopefully you found this information useful. I certainly hope you take advantage of it. I hope you learned something today. And in using these, it will make your embarkation process on your next cruise really easy. And the objective of all of this is to make your cruise as enjoyable and as relaxing as possible. Thank you for joining me today. If you did find this content interesting and useful and beneficial, then why not consider hitting that subscribe button and hitting the bell for future notifications. It'll just let you know that I've posted new content. Hit that like button. As I started in my intro, I am a new channel. I am growing. And for those of you who have subscribed to my channel, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. And I'm going to endeavor to put out lots of good content for you. You have yourself a great day. Aye, aye. And remember, never say die. and goodbye. Peace.